Amanda and RJ, tell me about your experience with you. Must have been belted kingfisher that was.
Yes.
Have you seen any
Yeah.
other kingfishers?
No, not. We've
No.
only seen belted kingfishers. So yeah, so Jenna, Amanda, and I are fairly new to birding, and so we're North American birders pretty much. Yeah. So we're like so excited to learn more about all these other kingfishers from you, because belted kingfishers, I think, are our favorite bird that we see, around here, and I mean, basically everywhere we go around. We were up in Michigan last weekend and saw a pair of belted kingfishers up there. But we're really excited to learn more. And I thought Shannon brought up doing laughing kookaburra as an episode, and I thought that would be a fun one to do too, and thought they were super cute. But then I think on our last episode, you saw that there's a laughing kookaburra that ate another bird in its in its family.
Not so
So
cute.
now I'm wondering if
Sub-family,
I'm
which makes it
sub-family.
even smaller. Like, again, it's the only time I've ever heard of inter-sub-family predation. Just doesn't happen in birds. Like, I would write a whole little like fun blog article about that, because I just can't think of any other examples. And just there was a kookaburra, it was a laughing kookaburra eating sacred kingfisher, which was amazing, and hopefully we could include somewhere.
Do you think it was like an aberrant behavior, like a one-time deal, or is there many instances of that happening?
I mean, I don't think it's super common, but I think that effectively, when you start looking at the diet, there's a lot that they'll literally eat anything they can fit in their mouths.
So go ahead and describe a laughing kookaburra.
All right, so a laughing kookaburra is one of the biggest kingfishers. It doesn't even look like a kingfisher. I mean, kind of. If you think about a kingfisher, people think plunge diving. They think maybe small, maybe blue. These laughing kookaburras are, I don't really know, maybe a foot tall. When it comes to birds and heights, it's kind of hard because, if you think about their feathers get really big. So it's pretty big sized bird. Definitely one of the largest kingfishers. Now, really quick aside, some people say it's the largest kingfisher, but there's a giant kingfisher. And then it's like, that's also huge. So laughing kookaburra, giant kingfisher. I mean, that's up for debate of the biggest kingfisher. But same with the tiniest kingfisher.
But one's a plunge diver and one isn't.
That's true. And
Okay.
kookaburras are not plunge divers, which makes them inherently more interesting to me. So, I'm just
Wrong.
joking with you, Shannon. I
read
love
this-
kookaburras because, one, they have an incredible call, which sounds like a laugh, and oftentimes gets mistaken for like maybe a monkey or something that you wouldn't expect. You wouldn't expect a laughing kookaburra call to sound like that, apart from its name, laughing kookaburra. I'm not going to pretend that I can do the call. John, if you want to try, be my guest. It's something that somebody
You've-
will look up on their own.
Every
Come on,
person
Jack.
who's seen a movie has heard this bird call because it's in virtually every movie, even when you're not anywhere near where that bird actually lives. So if you go to Disney World, you will hear laughing kookaburras and not in the Australian exhibition. So if you go look at Tarzan, you'll hear from the 30s, that Johnny Wilsmire, whatever. Anyways, you'll hear it in their movies too. So that's why I picked it, is because people wouldn't think of it as a kingfisher, but they've almost 100% certainty heard it calling, laughing in some kind of movie or TV. And you would
It is
never.
really
I mean,
aptly named. I mean, sometimes there are birds that are named something that doesn't make any sense. Like little kingfisher, there's a lot of little kingfishers. But laughing kookaburra, that's the only one that laughs. Okay, so now picture something like a foot, kind of like its bill is like light horn on the bottom, kind of like a brown on the top. Kind of long, but not super long. It has a rufusy red tail that has black stripes that kind of reminds you of a tiger. On its wing, you can see some interesting, maybe bluish or pinkish or whitish feathers that kind of change in the light. It's not iridescence, it's non-iridescent structural color, as you're kind of talking about earlier. It's kind of, I mean, it's not super brightly colored. And I think it has there's something bright blue somewhere on its body, because again, almost all kingfishers have that beautiful royal blue color from King George III and his decisions of royal blue. So that's what it looks like. And it will eat anything it can put its mouth on, I'm pretty sure. So some of the things when I was reading about its diet is it will eat berries, or I think there's one of the fruits or something like that. There was examples of it eating, obviously, skinks, spiders, insects. It will obviously eat other birds, even if it's, very closely related to it evolutionarily. Of the three subfamilies of kingfishers, there's pygmy kingfishers, water kingfishers, and woodland kingfishers. So kookaburras are in the woodland kingfisher family. And if I recall correctly, the estimation of the age of that subfamily was like around 20 million, definitely maybe 15 million years. So about 15 million years of evolution between a predator and its prey, which is fun fact because sacred kingfisher is the one that I was saying that was being eaten by the kookaburra, also will eat anything that it can get its mouth on. I'm pretty sure if it could, it would also eat a baby kookaburra, but I don't think it could eat an adult kookaburra because they're vastly differently sized. A sacred kingfisher is like 1/3 of the size of a kookaburra.
But we should point out actually, so they're swallowing things whole pretty much.
Yeah.
So
After
they're
beating
not-
them to death on the ground or on a branch. And then the venomous snakes they will eat can be up to like a meter long. And some of them will either grab them by the back of their head and then just whack their head on the ground to stun it and then eat it. Or it'll fly up into the air and drop it from height to kill it. So they are
so
incredibly violent birds. And they'll steal prey from hawks or other snakes, which is fun. A little parasitism. And then it will also has been observed to eat human food from picnics, which is kind of fun for me because if you go to Australia and you talk like, what's the bird that you hate the most? So many people will say Australian ibis because Australian ibises, they're, I don't know, half the size of a great blue heron, and they will attack people for their food, and they'll definitely get in the trash. So people hate Australian ibises. They're trash birds. Bin chickens.
Do they love kookaburras though? Our kookaburras are like a big part of.
Yeah,
They do.
So one thing about them is they've adapted really well to humans being in Australia, and they live in the cities, and so as long as there's food and lizards and sacred kingfishers and things for them to eat, they're fine.
I read an excerpt just when I was like trying to do research, and it said that some people in Australia will like a kookaburra will fly up and they'll like rub its belly. I was like,
Oh no! Well,
I was like, that can't be true, can it? I was like,
the thing is that
I was like, this can't be true, but I don't know.
when it comes to Australians and their birds, I mean, so many Australians love the magpies there. Not the magpies that we think of in North America, but it was the Australian magpies, and those birds attack them, and they love them too. Like there was a boy who lost his eye, and they didn't put the bird down that took his eye. I remember reading that. It was like it was in a recent book about birds.
They introduce them to some Northwestern University students that are completely afraid of red-winged blackbirds.
Oh yeah.
Are they scared because of their big red epaulets that they use to be like, oh my gosh, it's too red and large?
They're scared because they dive bomb their heads and they want to know why they have value because they have to convince the Northwestern students that these birds actually have some kind of value.
That's too bad that
Funny.
you have to convince people that life has value.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
seriously.
we get this at the museum all the time too because they will dive bomb people during the breeding season as they come into the museum. So people are always coming in like this and they're like, can't you do anything about those birds?
Well, they want it to be an engaging experience. The birds are making it be an engaging experience. You see the
they
birds
don't want it to be
in life.
life-threatening.
Then they go to the Hall of Birds and they say, ah, yes, I understand.
They don't see it like the Australians.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, the Australians love kookaburras. In fact, when they had the Olympics in Australia, one of the 3 mascots was a laughing kookaburra. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's cute.
But of course, it wasn't just one. So when I heard my first kookaburra, I was looking for platypuses. And we did see a platypus, and I cried because I was just so excited. But I got to hear a kookaburra, and it was a out-of-body experience because it was so loud, and it went on for so long. And it was raining, and it was just, anyway, they were great. That's why people love them.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be one that loves Australian magpies, though. If a bird attacks me, unless it's a kookaburra, I will hate it forever. So
Not be happy about
So will
it. Yeah.
kookaburras attack people too, or do they just try to steal their food?
I'm not
think
sure. I've
just a
never
little
heard
of
of
both.
one.
Yeah, I,
John?
don't think of, I think of kingfishers as not being particularly aggressive.
Okay.
in any-
Towards people.
yeah, towards people.
I
which
mean,
is
they're
interesting.
aggressive
Yeah.
towards others. So kookaburras, I was reading about them. So they live in groups, and they mate for life. They're pair bonded for life. They're monogamous, and they raise their young in groups. But they do get violent between one another. And this one way it was described as like, sometimes there are fights, and it says almost ritualistic, but often can be deadly. And I was like, how could someone look at birds attacking each other and be like, ah, yes, they don't really mean to. They're just playing or something. I don't know. It was a really weird way to describe the behavior. It was ritualistic. I think that's a bit of a human take on bird behavior.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So, but it's in Handbook of the Birds of the World. Sorry, Birds of the World, not Handbook of the Birds of the World. Really fun there. So, but another fun thing is that kookaburras will, and they nest in cavities in trees, but they'll also nest in termite mounds, which I find to be exciting because I feel like, if there were termites there, I don't know. I've just seen examples of birds, like baby birds, being bitten to death by insects. And so to choose to nest where there could be a lot of insects, I feel like one is another very exciting decision. It's kind of just testing the karma, especially when you eat some of those insects. But also, they'll nest in nest boxes. And the group will help feed and care for the offspring. And they've even been observed bringing tiny snakes for the offspring to pretend kill. I'm not sure they pretend, they're actually killing them. I mean, they are killing the snakes. So to practice the amazing behavior of grabbing it behind the neck and just beating it to death. It's great. Again, very aggressive.
That's awesome.
But I did want to talk about a couple other kookaburras. So there's a laughing kookaburra. That's the one that's famous. But there's another kookaburra that's in. Oh, and one last thing. The scientific name for laughing kookaburra is Dactylo novaguinea. The name Nova Guinea means New Guinea, and laughing kookaburra does not occur at all in New Guinea. And I always wondered about this, and apparently it used to be called Dactylo gigas, which means big. It's a big bird. But the name, so like when it comes to naming life, is effectively the first come, first served. So if you name it, even if you do it wrong and you purposefully do it wrong, which is what happened here, the person who named it originally purposefully, that's what it says on Birds of the World, misnamed its location to be New Guinea. And because it was published earlier in the year than Gigas, we have to use New Guinea. And isn't that fun? Anyway, there are some
That's crazy.
there are some kookaburras that occur on New Guinea. They don't have Nova Guinea in their specific epithet.
Gosh,
So-
crazy.
The other one that occurs in Australia is called a blue-winged kookaburra. If you look it up, I think it looks a little bit more imposing than laughing kookaburra. One, it doesn't have the laugh, but it has this really brilliant white iris, which for some reason to me, when I see birds with white irises, it kind of is like, oh gosh, you're a little bit more intimidating. And it looks more intimidating to me.
That's the kookaburra I picked for the exhibition because the blue is so pretty on the wings. So
Yeah.
people are like, isn't that a laughing kookaburra? And I'm like, no, it's not, because I wanted the blue. So
Yes, the
we're
royal
using
blue.
the blue-winged one.
Yes, they are. I literally wrote my notes, looks more intense because it has this vivid pale iris and brilliant blue wing coverts. So So it's in northern Australia and can occur in the same habitats as laughing kookaburra, but when they're in proximity to one another, you'll see blue-winged kookaburra in more drier habitats. And it also gets into southern New Guinea. So there's a lot of species that are in northern Australia that also occur in southern New Guinea, and that's because New Guinea was attached to northern Australia during times of low sea level in this continental plate called Sahul. So when we think about what is an island, which I know I'm getting off topic, I don't consider New Guinea really an island because evolutionarily it was connected to a continent. It is a part continent. So, when I think of an island, I think of Hawaii, where it has never been connected to a continent. Right now, it's an island.
So I think the one thing about New Guinea there, though, is that it kind of came out of the ocean at some point.
Oh.
What do you mean? Because it does have some very complex
Of course it came out of the ocean.
I know.
Everything
Well,
kind of came out of the ocean.
No, but
you mean separate from Australia?
You mean that it rose up?
There's some aspects of that.
Orogeny?
Yeah.
So it has been connected, but in the last glacial maximum, when people think about ice ages in North America, they think about this big ice sheet. When I think about ice ages, I think of moving down of the ocean layer. Oh, the height of the ocean goes down. So land bridges get exposed. And yes, a part of New Guinea has risen out of the ocean. Some parts of it are new because it has this really cool geology. But it was connected to Australia. So when I think about it evolutionarily, I'm just like, please don't treat it like an island. In evolutionary context, if we're talking about 1 million years, I don't know. We need to think about the constant movement. I've gotten off topic. The point is that it is one of many different species that occurs in northern Australia and southern New Guinea. Now, what are some of the other kookaburras that occur on New Guinea? Because we're going to get to my favorite one. The newest kookaburra is... oh, sorry, I'm ahead of myself.
What's it called?
What?
The newest one?
kookaburra?
The newest
Oh.
kookaburra. Sorry,
It's a
I
journalist.
got a little bit...
Yeah, the news.
My mouth's a little dry.
No.
There is a...
It's a
Nudist.
even better.
They all are nude, okay? No one has clothes. So
It depends on how you define nude, Jenna. That depends.
I know, and
Just
I
like an
define
island,
nude. I
needs to
define
be a-
nude as having clothes. So I guess they are nude.
Not feathers.
Not feathers.
Nope.
If you
That's
made a
how-
cloak of, if you made a shirt of feathers, would you call yourself, and you wore it, would you call yourself
Jeez.
nude?
I
Oh,
would not
we've-
be
yeah.
nude because I'd be wearing
No.
something. Now, if I put
Yeah.
a little teeny shirt on a kookaburra, then it would be clothed. But right now,
Yeah.
kookaburras, as we know it, they are nude. Feathers are
They're
just
not
part of. It's
wearing
like
clothes,
skin,
yeah.
like the hair on our body.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wait,
so
so what's the newest?
Clothes, then they'd be clothed.
Yes.
maybe.
There we go.
So if they killed the sacred kingfisher, took the insides out, and never mind.
Exactly.
Buffalo Bill
Yes,
style.
if you skinned the sacred kingfisher
Buffalo Bill.
and you made it like a leather jacket, you would need multiple. If you give a mouse a cookie, joking. So
Wait, so what's this newest one?
yes, so
Yes.
the newest kookaburra is because the common name used to be called a kingfisher and now it's called a kookaburra. It is shovel-billed kookaburra. So for the longest time, this one species was called shovel-billed kingfisher. It was in its own genus, Clitosaex rex, which is my favorite name, scientific name ever. And unfortunately, I, along with my advisor, am part of the reason
You
why we don't
sunk
use
it.
it anymore. We sunk it into
Oh.
the kookaburra genus, Dacelo. So what we did is that we got DNA from specimens from places like the Field Museum. I don't think this one was specifically from the Field Museum. I think we got our sample from the American Museum, and we got its DNA along with our the very first study that I mentioned. How I got into studying kingfishers was in the study, and we showed that Clitosaex rex, shovel-billed kingfisher, was not its own evolutionary group. It was actually more closely related to I think it was the other New Guinean kingfisher. which it might have been spangled, that's Dactylotyro. I'm pretty sure this is a kingfisher that also lives in the lowlands of New Guinea and Aru. So now it is known, instead of it being called Clitosaex rex, it is now known as Dactylo rex. And because it has the genus Dactylo, it joins the other 4 dactylos, which are all kookaburras, to be called shovel-billed kookaburra. Now, why do I tell you all of this, apart from us causing my favorite genus name to be sunk into nothingness, is because it is awesome for its ecology. So when Shannon said that Chad had done CT scanning of all these kingfishers and looked at the bill morphology, he also was modeling how some kingfishers that don't plunge dive, like what would it look like if they tried plunge diving. So just to put in your mind, think of a belted kingfisher. Now think of it like 3 times larger. It's on the ground. It's all brown. Has a little bit of that blue. It's on its rump, but it's all brown. And imagine you just took its bill, and instead of being long and thin, you just push it down to be short and fat, like a little shovel. And that's his name, shovel-billed kingfisher, because it just digs in the ground and eats earthworms. And it's just hanging out on the ground, eating stuff. And so Chad modeled it plunge diving. And I remember seeing it on his computer on how big of a splash it would make. It was like so bad. It was like that bullet train that was like causing that sound wave as it was going through the tunnel, causing this like huge boom to come out the other side. Was that a noise? It sounded like something just exploded.
It was the shovel-billed kingfisher hitting the water.
I live next to like a really busy street, and I was like, did I just hear a car accident? But literally pushing all of the water to cause this like big explosion of sound. It was horrible efficiency. And that's because, again, it doesn't plunge dive and it just digs around. And so, yeah, so when I say the newest kookaburra is because now, because of molecular systematics, because of museums, we can officially say that there is 5 kookaburras, not 4. And that really got me. That's how I study kingfishers. But no, it's really fun because I didn't really know this species existed. And I was just going through as a master's student, measuring kingfisher bills at the American Museum. And I remember opening up the first drawer and I could see them even before I opened up the first drawer. And I was like, what is that? Like, it was crazy. These bills just are not what you expect for kingfishers. It's just so wild. So I just love that it eats worms. So it lives, so the shovel-billed kookaburra lives in the lowlands of New Guinea. And it's the reason why I want to go to New Guinea, is to see this bird, among all the other reasons why to go to New Guinea, including birds of paradise.
There might be a bird of paradise or two that...
I've already seen one bird of paradise. I mean, frankly, everyone loves them. I just think that there's some, really cool birds that no one else goes to see. Maybe.
I think that shovel-billed kingfisher is in a few lists.
Well, don't go and lick them. Let's just say.
Yeah. Anyway.
Wait, what'd you say, Shannon? Don't go
lick the birds that people don't know about and don't necessarily want to see.
Do you lick birds that people do know about?
No, but there are toxic birds in New Guinea, so.
That's true. I thought it was only one species, right?
Is it just one species in that genus?
I thought it was just one.
What about rubbing their belly? Can you get
Is that okay? Yeah.
Well, I'm going back to eating centipedes and just thinking, I wonder if you end up with stuff that gets in your feathers when you do that.
Oh,
that's interesting. I mean, so what's cool about
that would be juicy and disgusting. That's gross to think about.
Maybe they like it, and they eat scorpions too. So maybe we should have more birds try to scratch us to see if we have a reaction. That's how we found out about that poisonous bird.
Wow.
It scratched someone?
Yeah, there was a bird bander. He got scratched by a bird. This is what I heard, and he got a Nature publication out of it because he got scratched.
He's curator of birds at the California Academy of Sciences.
Oh, wow.
But I like to tell that really short. Like, he got scratched. You noticed that there was a reaction. He was like, why? And then that led them to discover that it is poisonous. Because
they sequester a poison from I don't want to say it's a beetle, but but
Oh,
that could
yeah,
be.
probably a beetle. I think you're right. It's not
But-
ants.
So
In my head, it's an
cool.
ant.
So he
He
could
was
have
a
gotten it from
University of
scratching his
Chicago
belly.
student.
Wait, so does the poison from the beetle, is it just like coming out of every part of the bird, or does it like dip its talons in that poison?
No, it incorporates it into the feathers when it's
Okay.
making the feathers. It might be in the skin as well.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look that up, but yeah, he was a University of Chicago student.
And it was a
Jack.
Nature publication. I just
Yeah.
love that. I just love the fact that that came from that.
And I
That's
do want to
awesome.
talk about that bird someday. We can see if we can get Jack on to talk. His name is Jack Dumbacher.
And what's the bird called again?
It's called a pitahui, but just like Jenna was talking about with the kingfishers, I think the genus pitahui had 4 species in it, and I think when the molecular phylogenies were done of all the New Guinea birds in that part of the avian tree, I'm pretty sure she's right. There's like the poisonous one shows up by itself. One of the other ones is in another place, and the other 2 are in a completely different place. So they look kind of alike, and they've been put in the same genus, but they're not remotely closely related to one another when all is said and done from an evolutionary standpoint.
But we have to
So
look that
much
up
moved
before we talk
around.
about it.
Okay.
Well, I hate to do this, but I think we're close on time on this one. Is there anything else on Kookaburras we want to touch on before we wrap this one up?
RJ, do you want to sing your song?
No.
I'll sing it. I
Will
grew
you?
up
Okay.
singing that song.
Okay.
So did
I
RJ.
have vivid
I-
memories.
I grew up
of singing
singing it
this
too,
song.
and I don't know how I learned it. And Amanda was like, "Did they teach you it in school? Like, where did you learn it?" And I don't
That's
know. I
right.
don't remember, but I
I
know
learned
the
it
Never
from
song.
heard
Mom.
this song.
Now,
Oh.
maybe
Oh,
it's
sweet.
a different song, but how it goes for me is Kookaburra sitting in the old gum tree, Mary, Mary, king of the bushes, he laugh, Kookaburra, how gay your life must be. And they go, woohoo! And then you just go back
Yes.
and do it again. So
That was
Yes.
amazing.
That was-
Beautiful.
yeah.
That was great.
That's so cool. I
Yeah.
can't believe you guys both know that song. John and
I
Shannon,
had-
have you heard that song before?
Absolutely, I had. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
But I'm just pointing out I hadn't really heard that verse, and I'm just realizing that it's eating fruit in that verse, not lizards or sacred kingfishers or.
Oh,
or
we need
gross
to
stuff.
update the song.
Yeah.
Wait, you said old gum. Wait, Kookaburra sitting in the old gum tree.
gum tree.
Mary, Mary, king of the bush is
Oh, no,
he.
so when I
Laugh,
remember-
Kookaburra, laugh.
So sorry, I was putting in the verse I know, which is Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, eating all the gumdrops he can see.
Oh.
Laugh, Kookaburra, leave some there for me.
Cute.
So
Oh.
is there a
different
tree that makes
version.
gumdrops?
I'm in Australia.
It's a dream tree.
Maybe that's fun because there's so many interesting things about nectar and different things. I think I've heard that, and I thought it was just a fantastical idea of what a gum tree is. What's a gumdrop on a gum tree? Is it literal what we think of a gum tree or a gumdrop? Or, and John, bringing it really back down to nectivity and kingfishers, could it be little tiny bits of nectar coming out of the leaves? And then that would be nectivity.
Oh.
They
We
do
need to
eat everything.
confirm this.
And they do eat nectar,
Everything.
possibly.
Comes back
Oh,
around.
interesting.
Yes.
Can you get a nature paper out of it?
Well, wouldn't that be fun? On a
If it's
podcast.
poisonous, you certainly can.
Well, I like the birds that eat nectar from the bits being excreted out of the aphids' butts. The aphids are eating the leaves, and then the nectar's coming out of that, and then they're eating that. So I'll get back to you on that, John.
So RJ gets his nectar.
Are you saying those?
What?
I don't know what I'm saying.
Are you saying those birds are not eating the aphids? They're just eating the nectar?
There are birds that just eat the nectar. I was reading this. It's I have the book upstairs.
Are they pardalotes, or they must be some of these? Huh?
I know her really quickly. Just really get it.
Wait, so what Jenna was saying is, are they just like licking the aphids' butts?
That's what it sounds like. Which the interesting thing to me is I would have said bird tongues are inordinately poorly designed to lick anything.
So maybe not. Okay.
I mean, they're often like sclerotized and hard in the tips. Not always.
Yeah.
If you want to read about that, This is a great book about nectivity, and I think this is the one where it talks about the magpies that like attacked the child and like took its eye, and they didn't.
So that's called Where Song Began?
Yes, because they talk about why there's so much song in Australia, and that comes back down to territoriality, because nectar is a very ephemeral food source. So there's a lot of aggression in Australian birds.
Oh, okay.
People just wanted, they were just celebrating kookaburras. That's the song I'm
Yes, and they thought that gumdrops came on gum trees.
That's it.
Don't
John,
they?
have you had enough coffee today?
I have.
I like the thought of that. I like the thought of a gumdrop tree too, separately.
I like the idea of a chocolate truffle tree.
Yes, yes.
Cheesecake tree.
Oh.
So, and forgive me, did we talk about what the word kookaburra means? Or
I have no idea.
okay,
It comes from it's the indigenous name of the bird.
okay.
Of these birds,
Good.
Kookaburra. Yeah,
I only know about the Latin
So-
names.
and they're imitating it's imitating the sound of the call. That's where.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure.
So it's like a lot of birds.
See, now, again, as a kid, not speaking native Australian, I just figured the kook actually was something to do with what they thought the bird was just kind of a kook.
Oh, okay.
You really
He's
need
crazy.
a jolt of something, don't you?
Poor
It's a
John.
vivid childhood.
It's keeping us laughing like
Yeah.
the kookaburra.
Yeah, I like that, John.
We have 23 of them in our collection. We have 23 laughing
Wow.
kookaburras.
Very cool.
Yeah. You know what's really funny about thinking about kookaburras and like sizes? Maybe we can put this in the first episode. But what's really interesting about what's really interesting about kingfishers is that they have these really proportionally tiny tarsi. So if you think about a bird leg, a tarsus, I think, now I'm not the best morphologist, but I'm pretty sure it's like kind of analogous to like, not this bone. Am I getting this wrong, John? Shannon? But a tarsus is
Tarsus
for a
is
bird's
the bone
leg.
that goes into your foot. It's the bone
All right.
that's
Oh, okay.
going into your.
So it is kind of similar to this part of your arm. So the tarsus is often used in ornithology to kind of scale for body mass. So if you don't have body mass data and you have something like bill length, you can use it as a proxy for body size. And kingfishers are horrible for this because I happen to be studying Carastiformes, which includes bee eaters, toadies, motmots, kingfishers, and there are birds called toadies that are in the Caribbean that are tiny. They are very tiny birds. Think of like a warbler, but like a little bit smaller, I think. They have very long tarsi, so much so that the tarsus of a toady is as long as a giant kingfisher. Because giant kingfishers have tiny tarsi, even though they're really big birds. And again, like a toady is like, I don't know, maybe 6 inches tall if it was standing. I think that's my
No way.
This might even be
You think it's
Five,
I don't even
three?
think they're
Or
6
They're
inches.
tiny.
Three.
Yeah.
okay. I don't think about when they're standing, but they're pretty tiny. And again, a kookaburra, goodness,
That would
huge.
that would be a gumdrop for a kookaburra.
Yes, it wouldn't even need to bash it on the side of a branch to stun it. It would just pick it up and just eat it. It has
know it got something.
it has almost the same tarsus length. So like I had this really fun picture. It was like people are like, "Oh, did you scale for body size for your data set?" And I was like, "No. Look at this tiny toady. It has the same tarsus length as the biggest kingfisher in the family." So tiny
Wait,
legs,
so-
big old bills.
So can they even like walk? I guess I've never
They can
even
walk.
thought about
I
this.
never
Okay.
thought about that.
So-
what does
so
what
I
does
was-
a kingfisher
I was actually-
walking look like?
I mean,
They kinda
I would
hop.
say,
Hop?
yeah,
Yeah.
so shovelbill must do that, but most
Yeah,
kingfishers,
well, they dig, so they're definitely hopping on the ground digging.
yeah, most kingfishers spend almost no time on the ground, with the caveat being that like belted nests in banks and rivers and things.
Don't all of them nest in structures like that? Some kind of holes in trees that they either excavate or banks or something like that?
They are all cavity nesters. To my knowledge, I haven't come across reading about one that isn't a cavity nester. But they don't all burrow into the sides of ditches. And of course, that burrowing behavior is not just kingfishers, because moths do it too. So
I read this crazy thing about the giant kingfisher. Some of its burrows are 28 meters in, 28 feet long, 8.5 meters into the side of the.
So there are some moths that go 7 meters deep. So
that's insane.
Like, that's not that crazy.
Crazy.
So, but I think it's crazy for moths because people who might not know what a moth is, it's kind of like, God, how do you describe a moth? It's a good sized bird, but very long tail. And so think of this beautiful bird, long, beautiful tail, and it's just like digging into the side of a bank. But what's funny? Again, I'm getting back to kingfishers. Another reason why they're amazing is that there are kingfishers. They're called paradise kingfishers. They're in New Guinea. There has one in Halmahera that I've seen. Halmahera is an island in Indonesia that also have these really long, beautiful tail streamers. Also critically important to important speciation theories in the 1930s and 40s by Ernst Mayr. That was my little tidbit for extra stuff about tarsus length.
That was fascinating. Yeah, no, that was really cool.
It was really interesting. Yeah, very cool.
Go to the zoo and see a kookaburra.
Yeah. And they're in a lot of zoos. I think it's quite fun to go to the zoo and see a Guam kingfisher, which I know that's next segue into our next episode.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's get into that then. Here, I'm going to stop this one.